What's up, everybody? We are back to cover week 8. This is going to be August 7th of 2022 through August 13th, 2022. This was our first week of CAD. So you'll do 2 weeks of CAD while you're here, which, as I mentioned in the last video, is the combined or the combat arms department. So let's jump into it and talk about week 8. It was a busy week. Lots of stuff to do. You're pretty much go all week. You're exhausted by the end of it. For those of you that are prior service, a lot of the stuff isn't going to be new. For those of you just coming out of OCS or ROTC, a lot of it's not going to be new either, for the most part. Some of it may be, maybe you're unfamiliar with it or uncomfortable with it. I'm not going to try to speak for any of you West Point folks, because I honestly have no idea what you guys cover or don't cover. So, let's get into Monday. Actually, first, before we do that, while you're here, you're going to do, as of right now, 18 hours of combatives. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do these videos for you guys. Yeah, there's some other video series out there. They're older. Some of them are incomplete, not to say that they're bad, but they jump around a lot, and then there's a lot of stuff lumped into just like one long video. Everything at the schoolhouse is constantly changing as they get new commanders in, you get new commandants in. Year to year, they're trying to improve things, and all in all, improve what you're learning here. So, that being said, things are changing. My class 008 and class 007, are the first class, I believe, that have ruck marches that are required. And we are the last two classes that did not have to, quote unquote, pass a 4-record ACFT in order to graduate. The two classes that just started this week, some of you guys are watching these videos as I found out today, which is great. The folks that came up to me told me this was helpful, so I'm going to keep going with it. However, the two new classes that started this week, Class 9 and Class 10, will be required to pass a 4-record ACFT in order to graduate from AGBOLC. The classes that are coming in the future, there may be a time standard that starts being implemented into your ruck marches. Right now, the ruck marches are go, no go, in that you just have to complete it. So that's the way it is right now. That being said, while you're here, you're going to do 18 hours of combatives. No, that is not enough to get you level 1 certified. That is a 40-hour course. You don't have enough time to do 40 hours, so you're not going to leave here level 1 combative certified. So whatever you heard or didn't hear, that's the way it is. Moving on. Monday morning, we started out with combatives. We went over to the PT pit and went over kind of the basic positions, did some warm-ups, things like that. If you've done combatives, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't done combatives, don't worry. They're going to break it down for you and go step by step. The guys over at CAD are fantastic instructors. They know their stuff. Listen to them. You'll be just fine. Then we came back and did hygiene after combatives. And then we went out to the WTA, or the Warrior Training Area, and conducted a whole bunch of different trainings. Employing obstacles, so like triple strand C-wire, learned the appropriate way to employ that. Then we did the ASIP radios, which, if you're not familiar with what that is, it was a replacement for the SYNCARS radio. Learn how to assemble them, put in the fill data, and conduct a radio check. Really basic stuff for the radios. We conducted an IED course, basically a little crash course on how to identify and locate IEDs. And then we did kind of a little short introduction PMI to the M17. If you're not familiar with what the M17 is, it is the new Sig Sauer P320 that is replacing the Beretta as the Army's combat pistol. Really, it was just kind of going over the nomenclature, a functions check on it, and how to disassemble and reassemble it in the field. You don't shoot it here. As of right now, you do not shoot the M17. So yeah, then that was it for the morning. We had lunch. We were out in the field all day, so it was MREs. You can bring your own lunch if you want, but just know that you're out in the field, so whatever you bring, hopefully it stays in your bag. If not, it's going to be hot, it's going to be gross, whatever. Afternoon, we did field combatives, so it was like weapon retention, some close quarter combat stuff while you have your weapon. That was about it. Then we moved into establishing a patrol base, basically site selection, how to occupy a patrol base, how to establish it, security measures. Then we went into area defense a little bit. A lot of this is covered in your warrior tasks, battle drills. Certainly level 1, I'm pretty sure level 2. If you don't have a Ranger handbook, get one. Alright. It's right here, Ranger handbook. That's what it looks like. You can order them online. Just go in and search Ranger handbook. I'm not going to put anything fancy up here on the screen, anything like that. I can try to throw a link in the description. I believe Ranger Joe's has them, but yeah, I'll definitely try to put that link in the description for you guys. And yeah, that was Monday. Then they bussed us back to the hotel for the night. Tuesday morning, got up. We went over to the 369 company area, and we conducted the M4 PMI, the classroom portion for the M4. So basically nomenclature, how the weapon functions check, loading, unloading, malfunctions, and then a little bit of bullet trajectory and firearms related stuff. You go over the nomenclature and how to function the CCO. That's what you're going to be qualifying with, rather than iron sights or the ACOG if you're familiar with that. So you use the aim point CCO. M68, I believe, is the Army official term for it. There's some proficiency stuff that you have to demonstrate in the classroom. Nothing crazy hard, so don't worry about it if you're not a huge weapons buff. like I've said in the past, I come from the combat arms world, so I'm familiar with the military way of doing things, especially when it comes to firearms. I'm also very proficient with them on the civilian side. I'm a firearms instructor, so for those of you that are coming in from the enlisted side, or you're big into firearms, the class is kind of base level, but they have to assume that everybody coming in doesn't know anything. So the guys over at CAD, the instructors over there, like I said, they're great. They try to spice it up a little bit, add some flavor, but it is still a military course, so they kind of have to stick to what they're allowed to teach. That was the entire morning. Then we went to lunch, and then we went over to the EST, which is the virtual indoor range. I don't like the EST. That's just my personal stance. As far as accuracy goes, they're not accurate. They're not meant to teach you accuracy. They're meant to reinforce your fundamentals. And it also gives you a little bit of an insight into how the new Table 6 works if you've never shot it. So that's what we did in the afternoon. We were over at the EST. That was it for Tuesday, August 9th. And then Wednesday, August 10th. No combatives on Wednesday. There was no combatives on Tuesday either. Let's see. We got up and went over to the 369 company area and drew weapons. I guess I should back up. We drew weapons on Tuesday as well for the PMI, and then we turned them back in Tuesday morning before we left and went to the EST, because obviously you can't have a military weapon in your POV, you can't have a weapon in the hotel, so we turned those back in. Then we went to the EST, and then Wednesday 05 we went back over to the Alpha Company training area and we drew weapons. Then we got bussed out to range 15 and we conducted our grouping and zeroing. Actually, I don't think we were at range 15 for that. Range really isn't important. We went out to the range and we did grouping and zeroing, and then once everybody was grouped and zeroed, Class 7 was responsible for setting up the range. Class 8, my class, was responsible for tearing down the range. Then we bussed over to the qual range and got everything set up. And then we ran through quals, table 6 of the new qualification table. Again, if you're not comfortable with firearms, that's fine. They're going to help you. You're going to leave that range with a qualification. That being said, they're not going to just hand it to you, but they're going to walk you through things, and they're going to help you get qualified. So just listen to the CAD guys. Yeah, so we conducted IWQ. I will say this about the IWQ, or the individual weapons qual. It is a portion of your grade. It's 2% of your grade right now. you have to get first time goes and everything to be looked at for graduation honors. Um, if you don't receive a first time go on your first time shooting the qualification tables, you're out of the running for honor grad or distinguished honor grad. So take that for what it is. If that's something you care about, which you should strive for it anyway. Um, you have to get a first time go on your weapons qual. Same thing goes for land navigation and your ruck marches. So, weapons qual, it was a pretty short day. We were done by about 1400. Um, like I said, Class 7 had set up the range, so Class 8 was responsible for breaking down the range. Both classes conducted a police call for brass, things like that. But as far as shutting down the ammo point and all that stuff, that was our class. Then they bussed us back to the 369 training area, and we conducted weapons maintenance. We cleaned the M4s. That's what we did. Then you turn them in. And for all intents and purposes, that is the only time you will have a weapon while you're here. That was it for Wednesday. And then Thursday, August 11th. We went back over to the 369 training area and we conducted our PMI for land navigation. Again, that's one of those things where if you've done it before and you're super confident with it, great. The class is what the class is. They have to teach it. So you may just be bored for a little while. If you're not familiar with land nav, there's videos out there that'll help you. The best way to do it is just get out and practice it, honestly. Get familiar with how to shoot an azimuth, get comfortable with your pace count. Know how to identify terrain features on a map. Get a map, look at it, all that stuff. I'm not going to give you a land navigation course here. The morning was the land nav PMI in the classroom. Again, the CAD guys give great information in it, so pay attention. We went to lunch, had a decently long lunch, which is great because then after lunch you get bussed out to we went to Mekong Delta. There's also a Corregidor course out here, so there's two different practice courses. And we conducted the practical exercise out there, which was basically a practice land nav exam. They give you 5 points. You have 4 hours to go find those points, and then when you bring your scorecard back, they grade it. That's about as much as I can tell you about that. After we conducted the practical exercise, we got bussed over to the St. Lo land nav course, which is where we conducted the land nav exam, and we stayed out there. One night out in the field, it is what it is. They issue you a light fighter tent, so if you've never used one, it's a tent. If you have used one, then you know what I'm talking about. let's see. It was lights out around 2000. Um, we kind of had a little bit of a unique experience. It was definitely raining pretty heavily, and about the time it started raining, an entire company of uh, basic trainees showed up and they were soaking wet. Yeah, so 200 basic trainees roughly um, showed up. They were soaking wet. So us in class 7 kind of had to condense and give them a place to sleep for the night as well. Um, so, yeah, if you've ever been around that many basic trainees, you know they're not quiet. So, made for a long night for most of us, which is what it is. You're going to be tired here. So, um, wake up on Friday was 02:30. We had to have everything packed up, so everything that you took out to the field had to be packed up in your ruck. 0330 is when we received our land navigation brief, kind of one of those official proctored briefs. And you're not allowed to use your phone. Your phone has to go inside of an envelope and gets taped up. So if you're thinking about using your phone on land nav, you're not going to use it. If you've got a smartwatch, something with GPS capabilities, you're not going to be able to use it. So bring you a old-fashioned G-Shock. These things are sturdy. Some of them are pricey, some of them are cheap. I've had this one since, I don't know, 2015. I've only had to change the battery once. So, yeah, no smartwatches, no GPS, no phones, no assistance from any sort of electronic device during the land nav exam. That's basically the brief. Then after that, you line up, you start getting your scorecards. They check you to make sure that you don't have a phone or a smartwatch. So if you're thinking about being ornery, don't. Just it's not worth it. Just go out there, do the land nav, and move on with your life. Once the last person gets handed their scorecard, your time starts. So you have 5 hours, and you have to find a minimum of 6 out of your 8 points. So included in that time is plotting your point and shooting your azimuth and doing all that stuff. So it's better to be proficient with it now. So yeah, that's Friday morning. Like I said, we started at 0330. I think it was like actually 0443 or 0343, something like that. And the end time was like 0843. So not a big deal. Like I said, if you listen to the instructions that they give you, you're going to make it through just fine. Then after that, we got bussed back to the hotel. We had time to kind of clean up, maybe take a short nap, eat some lunch. And then the afternoon was 4 hours of combatives. So, like I said, long days, long week. That wasn't the end of it, though. Saturday, August 13th, this was the first time since we've been here that we've had to do anything schoolhouse related on a Saturday. Wasn't terrible. It was the first time they've done it. It was the Warrior Games like team competition. So a bunch of different events. Your class goes out and you participate and compete against the other classes. So classes 9 and 10, if you guys are watching these, you already know about it because you were here. So not a big deal, just something fun, kind of build some team camaraderie and let loose a little bit. It's nothing too formal or official. It's pretty laid back, so don't stress about it. Who knows if they'll even have it when you're here. It was kind of, like I said, it was the first time. We all had a good time, so hopefully they keep it up. That way you guys can experience it as well. That's really it for week 8. Week 9 is the second week of CAD. We've got some simulators that we've got to go to. I think we're doing some medical stuff and call for fire. But I'm not going to ruin that ahead of time for you guys. You'll have to wait until after I'm done. So we also got the 12-mile ruck coming up. But that is it for week 8. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. Whether it's questions about something I covered in this video, a past video, questions about something that I haven't covered yet, I'm more than happy to answer it. Like I said, things are changing here at the schoolhouse. It's not the way that it's been done in the past. So some of those older videos, while they're still good for information, they may not necessarily be applicable to what's going on now. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll do what I can to answer them. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all next week.